Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your Lunar Cycle Insight video for the new moon in your sign on the 7th of December and culminating with the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn on the 6th of January 2019. So this is a much quieter month than the ones that we've had previously. You know, November was full of all of those amazing but intense shifts as Jupiter came into your sign, as the node shifted, and we were kind of deep in those retrograde energies still. So this month takes on a slightly different tone as Venus and Mercury come out of their shadows, and there's a much more expansive, creative energy that surrounds us during this period. And of course, it's a particularly exciting month for you because it's your birthday month. And of course, then we have the annual new moon in your sign. So this is your month to embrace your cosmic reset and set forth the intentions that you wish to manifest over the coming cycle. So we begin this month in early December with both Mercury and Venus heading back into Scorpio. So on the 1st of December, Scorpio comes back into the final degree, Mercury comes back into the final degrees of Scorpio, and Venus crosses back over the threshold from Libra into the early degrees. So this is a time when we're kind of going back to what was coming up for us around mid-October, as the planets cover the ground that they were covering around that time. And for you, Sagittarius, this is the 12th house, the house of dissolution, of cleansing, but also of deep spirituality, of psychic vision, intuition, dreams, and insights. So particularly with Mercury here on the final degrees of the Scorpion, creating a trine to Chiron, and also to the North Node in your 8th house where the full moon will be later this month, you get a beautiful opportunity to really release a lot of psychological baggage. This can be a time of really seeing the karmic patterns playing out in your life and thinking about how you can release them and move forward as we come into the more expansive energies of your new moon. So this is a time when there can be a lot of truths that are revealed, and we can see things almost from a much higher, more elevated, more spiritual perspective. So instead of getting entangled into the kind of day-to-day of he did this or she said that, we can really see how these energies and karmic contracts are playing out through time. You know, the 12th house is a very multi-dimensional house. It's a house that deals with our past incarnations as well. So some of the things that are coming up, you know, deeply from your subconscious may not even be from this lifetime. So it's a great time for meditation, for introspection, particularly in the days leading up to the new moon, as the moon moves through Scorpio as well before rebirthing herself in your sign. And we've also got Venus here as well. So this is a time when we are all receiving the completion of what we learned during Venus's cycle. So this is a time to look back at what you've learned about love, about friendship, about sharing your intimate and energetic resources since that period. This can be a time when we can have, you know, lots of fated meetings that feel a little bit soulmatey as well. But it's really important to understand with these energies that we have to ensure that we're seeing things clearly as well, because there can be a lot of illusion that is in the air this month as well, as Neptune is very powerfully activated. So we begin this month with you kind of this lunar cycle, really, the dark moon before the Sagittarius New Moon, with you in this phase of clearing, of preparing. And then as we come to the new moon on the 7th, we know that Mercury stations direct just the day before. So there's this energy of, again, revelation, of truths being revealed. As Luna rebirths herself in your sign, and this is going to be the first time we've had a new moon in Sagittarius with Jupiter, its ruler, in its home sign alongside it for 12 years. So this is a very, very beneficial time for you, Sagittarius, to really start to set out those intentions for those big visions that you've been receiving since Jupiter moved into your sign. So this is a time that you can ask yourself, you know, what truly brings meaning to my life? What is my highest, biggest, expanded version of myself that I really want to step into? And we're looking at a square to Neptune and Mars in Pisces as well, as they come to conjunction at the time of this new moon at around 13 degrees Pisces. So we can also think about, how does my vision, how do my intentions impact the rest of the world? How are they serving the highest good of all? So we have this huge kind of dreamy, expansive energy that is beautiful, but we also need to ensure that we're not going into, which you know can be one of the shadows of Sagittarius, that we're not going into excess, that we're not going into kind of overdrive and getting caught, lost up in our own fantasies. So we need to be sure, particularly with Neptune and Mars in your 4th house in your natal chart, that we are grounding and anchoring what is coming through us at this time. That it's not just an idea or an inspiration, but we're thinking about how that can become reality in the next 12-month cycle. So it's a really powerful time for seeding your vision, seeding your goals, your dreams, Sagittarius. So really take the time to do ritual, to do ceremony around this really powerful and expansive moon. So Mercury will also come back into your sign on the 12th of December. So we have this really kind of busy energy in Sagittarius that's squaring Neptune all month long until the sun moves into Capricorn at the winter solstice. So this, of course, is a big shift of energy. We go from the light of Sagittarius, this blazing kind of furnace of truth, and then we come into somberness, into responsibility, into anchoring as we head into the energy of the earth sign of the goat. So for you, as the sun exits Sagittarius and moves into Capricorn, it will come into your 2nd house. So from the 21st onwards, we see the sun for the next 4 weeks coming and colliding with all of those planets that are in Capricorn at the moment. And we know that wherever Capricorn is in our chart, we are doing some serious work, because we have Saturn there, we have Pluto there, and as of last month, we have the south node of the moon there, the point of karmic release. And we've talked about this in previous videos, Sagittarius, and this is your 2nd house of finances, of self-worth, of value. It's the Taurus house of, you know, really receiving abundance and grounding, creating foundations for the future manifestations of prosperity in our life. So the sun transiting through this sign for the next 4 weeks is going to bring up these lessons. You know, how far have you come? What have you learned? With Saturn and Capricorn energy, it's about looking at the long-term picture. So where have I come in the past 12 months? Where am I heading? How am I changing my beliefs around what I believe I'm worth? So this is a time for getting really organized, really structured, really productive with these areas of your life. And when we get the full moon in Cancer The full moon of this lunar cycle happens just the next day. The sun moves into Capricorn. The following day, the 22nd, we have the full moon in Cancer, again 0 degrees, same as the Gemini full moon that we had last month. So these are powerful initiatory full moons. And the full moon, of course, will fall in the opposite house to the sun. So we're working with the 2nd house and the 8th house, the Taurus Scorpio polarity for you with this full moon, and also for the coming eclipse cycle as well. You know, we talked in the previous video about the shifts of the nodes, and this full moon will bring illumination and clarity to the lessons that we are learning in these areas over the coming 18 months as the nodes move through these houses. So this is a very emotional energy, this full moon for you. We have the full moon in her home sign, in her domicile of Cancer, which is already a very deep, sensitive vibration, and we have it falling in the 8th house of the subconscious, the Scorpio house, you know, the house that, and a full moon in this house can really illuminate what is under the surface. So this can bring up, you know, old fears, old insecurities, worries about not having enough, not being enough, not feeling safe enough. So it's a time for really diving into these patterns and feelings and seeing, you know, when we're working with Cancer and Capricorn, we look back down our ancestral lineage and we see, you know, where did I inherit these false beliefs? Where did I inherit these patterns? And how can I now change them? Capricorn says, how can I become the authority of my own life? So for you, Sagittarius, your current lesson is, how can I become the authority of my own resources, financial, spiritual, and energetic? You know, this is a time when you can be looking at how the balance of giving and receiving energy is working in your life, if you're being adequately compensated for what you are giving out. So we head into January with a big shift of Mars moving into Aries, your fellow fire sign, in your 5th fire house, and he's going to be traveling through the sign of the Ram. He's going to be making trines to Jupiter. On the 7th of January, Venus is going to come into your sign. So we're really going to start this new year with a bang. This can be an exciting, creative time of forward movement for you, Sagittarius. And we're going to head into, you know, the next lunar cycle with that solar eclipse in Capricorn in that 2nd house. So the feelings and themes that are coming up around the time of this full moon are giving indications of what we're going to be working with throughout the coming cycle as well. So it's really important to pay attention to this area and to think about how you can work with it, how you can be proactive and pragmatic, because Saturn really rewards us when we put the hard work in, but it's always a slow and steady climb in the area that he's working with us at any given moment. So expand but ground, enjoy but don't go to excess, and don't be afraid to do the deep dive as well around the beginning of this month and really weed out anything that's been holding you back. So I'm going to pick a card for you, Sagittarius, and this month I am using the Glastonbury Tarot. See the Tor on the back there. These are by Lisa Tendon-Dolmer. I do believe they are pretty much out of print now. This is an old deck, but they're very beautiful. They have all of the pictures of the mythological characters of Glastonbury, Avalon, the landscape. So here we've got Morgan Le Fay, the High Priestess, and Excalibur, the Ace of Swords. So this month, because we're in this deep oracling energy of Scorpio, as I create these videos, Mercury is kind of lingering around in that grand water trine. So we're going to pick one of these for you for the coming lunar cycle. This is really beautiful. Happiness, the 10 of chalices, or the 10 of cups in a traditional tarot deck. And this is one of the most beautiful cards in the whole of the tarot, I feel. It's a card that signifies emotional fulfillment. All of her cups are full, they are overflowing. And this can really be the energy for you, particularly around the time of the new moon in your sign, Sagittarius. So really allow yourself to experience that and embrace it, because you've been going through quite a challenging time with the planets retrograding in your 12th house, Jupiter journeying there. You know, we've got Saturn in this second house. So take those moments of happiness, take those moments of bliss and expansiveness, and enjoy the festive period. You know, this can also be a card that indicates harmony between families as well, which is beautiful because we're working with that Cancer Capricorn axis, like I said, of ancestry, of karmic genetic lineage. So this can indicate a healing. You know, if any of you are worried about spending time with your family over the festive period, then this is a sign that all will be well. You know, trust, surrender, come into that beautiful flow, that beautiful river of blissful energy that she is standing in there. And for those of you that know Glastonbury, this is the chalice well that she stood in there. So thank you so much for listening to me, Sagittarius. If you wish to connect with me further, you can check the links below for my Facebook pages and groups. I am wishing you a blessed Yule and a very, very joyful, expansive new moon.